I don't know, depend on how you can move the car. How has it been for you in Gateway State? Before we talk about what is happening and of course what happened earlier today.
Okay, for my experience so far, well, once again, good afternoon to our listeners. So, my experience so far in Ogun State, I think it has been quite interesting.
Mm.
The hospitality from the host has been impressive. Whilst there's always a avenue to always improve or get better. But I think so far the hosts have done relatively well, and yes, they have even set an early marker for next year's National Sports Festival, which Enugu State will be hosting come 2026. Remember, these games should have gone down. That was 2024 last year, but
Mm.
suffered a series of postponements before we're finally having Nigeria's version of the Olympics go down for the second time right here in Ogun State. Remember, 2006, Ogun State hosted the National Sports Festival. 19 years later, the rest of the country is converged on Ogun State, and we are currently in Abeokuta, the Junto Cultural Center, which serves as for the games. Fellow colleagues in the industry, more or less connecting and even sending in real-time reports from where we are domiciled here. In Abeokuta hosts a series of events just very close to the cultural center. We have
Mm.
the MKO Abiola Stadium in Kuto Abeokuta, which serves, which is venue for some other events. The track and field events which went down over the weekend. It was very interesting. Though you could say it was an anticlimax when the incident that happened with 𝐒𝐈𝐒𝐿 of them missing, and the law was applied and he was disqualified from the race that was in the men's category. And yes, that opened the door for Team Meadow to more or less get the gold medal, because initially we were thinking 𝐒𝐈𝐿 of Delta State would just easily coast home and breast the plate just to get the gold medal, as Delta State have always been more or less dominating short distance races, and in this case, the 100 meters for the men. Right there, we've been having indoor events going down at the Alake Sports Center. We've been seeing events like badminton, handball.
Mm.
Previously, before handball was previously brought out to the MKO Abiola Stadium earlier today. I'm sure Samis will more or less release experiences speaking with table tennis greats of the of right here in Nigeria, the big wigs that make table tennis tick. They were actually at the Alaki Sports Center that was today. And also, one sport, as we've had several sports being demonstrated at this year's National Sports Festival. One of those sports is flag football. And I'm sure you might be wondering what, I'm sure for some of us, or for some of our listeners that have seen the American styled NFL,
Yeah.
or what we call American football.
Yeah.
Yes, flag football is almost similar to American football. And yes, it has been tried, and yes, we've seen it being demonstrated as one of the sports right here. And according to some of the organizers, they said yes, flag football is one of the largest or fastest growing sports in the world. And yes, for flag football, which will also be making its debut at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, they are thought it to be a veritable tool or a veritable opportunity for them to more or less show it to Nigerians, because there's a flag football league in Lagos and also in Nigeria's
Yeah.
Federal Capital Territory,
Yeah.
to more or less bring it to a larger population. And yes, it's growing. We saw esports also making its debut at the National Sports Festival that was over the weekend. And yes, the DG of the Sports Commission, Honorable Bukola Olokwa, they talked about the positives that esports could bring in Nigeria, saying Nigeria could tap into that $1 trillion esports industry. And we saw esports also debut in that was over the weekend. We also saw speed skating also over the weekend. So I
So
would say it
Toby,
has been a
Toby,
festival of
Toby,
colors. Yes.
in hall, how many new sports do we have going into this year's National Sports Festival?
Yeah, so we had esports, which I said earlier. We had
Mm.
arm wrestling. We have seen a flag football. So yeah, so those are some of the sports I can pick off my head right now,
Mm.
and I would get the full details of that. But yes, we've had a handful of sports being tried. Just as I said, speed skating over the weekend right there. However, these shall I say trial or demonstration sports would not have medal, whilst medals would, but these medals would not be reflecting on the official medals table just because they are just made the most frequent sports festivals. When they become full-fledged sports, yes, medals will be fought for.
I was going to go there that this one is it just an exhibition sport, but it's good you mentioned that. So let me quickly speak to Samis. I'll come back to you, Toby, in a minute. So, Samis, Toby was talking about your experience, your encounter. You at the table tennis event, and I learned that you spoke to one of Nigeria's finest, 𝐒𝐶𝐄𝐑 𝐂𝐿.
Yeah, good afternoon once again to the people of Ibadan. Yes, while everyone was still present, or still present there at the media center, I found my way to the Alake Sport Complex just to catch a bit of that table tennis gymnastics event going on. And to my surprise, walked in that 𝐒𝐶𝐄𝐑 𝐂𝐿, seven-time Olympian. Where definitely she said that she came into the country just to support that the athletes, the stars, who definitely are in the country, not just table tennis players, but everyone within the shores of Nigerian sports. And I said that is actually a good one for her. And then she made mention of how we can also resuscitate that at the level of Nigeria table tennis, that's on the world stage, where she emphasized that we only have Aruna Kodri as the difference maker in the names of athletes, name of table tennis stars, in which we now. And then for those who are present, you have the likes of 𝐒𝐈𝐒𝐿, who is trading a game outside the country. Taiwo Mati trading his game outside the country. Then you have who again? That's Omotayo Laji. They also, these are the stars who were present. They are the 22nd edition of the National Sports Festival, where we talk about the table tennis events. And truly, yes, I was surprised by seeing those names, but it is actually a great one. To say that it can also maybe offer the states within the country, they took that this festival as a one in which they just don't want to put their names that's on that's the medal list as they recruited that's a top athletes to come represent that's their state.
All right, so guys, Oyo State now. Enough of you, the experience you've had, where you've been, Samis. Let's talk about Oyo State. I'm just checking now. Toby, I'll come to you, and I see your updates about Oyo State, how we're doing. Your update from the Scrabble event, the medals alert that you sent. Doubles event opens. You said Team Ogun State, they've got gold. Oyo State silver, and Abia State have got bronze. So what's the update, Toby? With what's the time? 3:44 p.m. What's the update like in terms of the medal table, and where do Oyo State stand in all of this?
Well, the official medal table is still not reflecting these latest medals, which you, as of the last check, which I had on the website, which the main organizing committee and even the LOC, that's the local organizing committee, have been in charge of, is still reflecting Oyo State having 21 medals. And as of this morning, the coalition of Oyo State medal. So 25 medals. Yes, I just got word that as of right now, the medals table reached 25 gold, 26 silver, and 29 bronze medals. But according to what we have from the various sporting events which Oyo State has been participating as of 7 a.m. this morning. As of 7 a.m. this morning, it was 29 medals. And yes, a whole lot of our listeners will be wondering why we are having this discrepancy from the official medals table and even which the medals which we can independently confirm that Oyo State has won. The reason why we're having this is which the organizers have actually attributed is that sometimes or most of the time the various sport federations who are in charge of each sport, because that is how it goes at these national events. The sporting federations are in charge and they send the true copy, the certified true copies of each result to the main organizing committee before it is uploaded to the website. And most of the time it takes, there's always that communication gap or lapse whereby, and according to the word which we got from the DG, he said the medals table it's always been updated twice a day, which is between, or it's always updated between 12 p.m. and 6 p.m.
Okay.
every day. So most of the time it takes almost 24 hours for some of these medals, which we report directly from the various events before it more or less reflects on the official medals table. However, the organizers have said ahead of next year's sports festival in Enugu State that they will make sure that there will be real-time updates of this medals table, such that there will be no discrepancy from what is being reported and what is being uploaded, if I can say that, on the website.
You know, when you use this word upload, it reminds me of INEC. Upload. You know how this happen. Okay, keep it at that. Don't say nothing, Toby. I know what. I know what.
No
I know,
comments.
say nothing. I just say upload. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say IRF. So forget it. I'm just talking there.
Exactly.
All right. So just. I know it's been tense. Samis, let me quickly hear from Samis. Samis, what's going on right now as we speak?
Well, there are still some other activities I can like left at the shooting venue also. I think of the new sports that was introduced at the tradition of the national festival. It has been before now, but then this is a sport which many people would actually be new to. That the shooting that is going on that within the confines of the Junto Cultural Center, and the game is going on and now. And then you talk about some other centers also where we have against the gymnastics is still going on the Alake Sports Center.
All right.
Then talk about table tennis and boxing games also going on somewhere here in Sharjah. And then we talk about various centers and their events are going on. But
Okay.
then it's just about how many can you catch up with?
Yes, I get. When you have these games across different venues, and you can only be in one venue, and hope that the other colleagues will help you with the others. Toby, I'd like to hear from you. You've been around for 8, 9, even 10 days. I know you've been on ground before the festival began. So, Toby, what has been your highlight so far? I say the word so far because we still have a few more days to wrap up this year's festival. So, Toby, for you, what has been your highlight so far?
Yes, my highlight so far, I'll take it from the sporting, and if I can say the non-sporting aspect. From the sporting aspect, is it's always very interesting seeing athletes from various states have this level of competition. You win from this sort of event will make you a national champion, and of course you have records more or less ascribed to your name. And even outside of the sporting event, it's also been an opportunity to more or less interface with people outside of your days. There has been a melt of cultures, right? I personally have, as much as I'm within a southwest state, I've had the opportunities to more or less even eat foods ordinarily I might not eat. If I was within Ibadan or your state, I've had to eat food from the eastern part of the country, and I'm more or less, I would say personally, I'm enjoying myself, and it's almost as if this shouldn't end. But of course, everything that has a beginning must definitely have an end for us to have new editions. And I think for us, when I say for us, I mean as Nigerians, we must more or less embrace these sort of games and such that will make it more interesting, and even the opportunities for sports tourism are bound, and we've barely scratched the surface. But just as I said earlier, Ogun State, they have they've definitely more or less had a massive improvement in terms of what we saw from the last games in 2022. That was in Asaba, Delta State. Ogun State, they've taken it a step further. Come 2026 next year, we'll be hoping Enugu State will also take it a step further, and yes, hoping that every year we'll be having these games better. I remember this year's edition, we had invited junior athletes.
Yeah.
And these are athletes that were more or less drawn from the previous national youth games. And according to what DG told me, he said it just takes for one of these athletes to win a bronze medal. That's the barest minimum to win a bronze medal. And such athletes will transition from the junior cadre to the senior cadre, and from there they will be eligible for the grants from the sports commission, paid in US dollars, and from there, this grant will be used to prepare the athletes for the Commonwealth Games and even the forthcoming Olympic Games. So there's a whole lot that Nigeria and Nigerians can gain from this game. Just look at what the economy of Ogun State has more or less looked like within the past few days that we have been here. And uh, according to the DG, said he find Enugu State will be hosting 2026 as of last check. 8 states are gambling. I think states are now more or less keen into the National Sports Festival, our own version of the Olympics, and it can only get better.
Yeah. So when Toby says the DG is talking about Bukola Olokpade. So I've been speaking with Timileyin and with Toby. So before the two of you take a bow, go catch up with the other games, do you like to maybe say one or two things before we wrap up from your end and come back to the studio? Simon, let me start with you.
If you ask me, as regards to the National Sports Festival, maybe nothing much, just that we are actually looking forward to the things that would also go down tomorrow. Remember that it is the home stretch of the 22nd edition of the National Sports Festival, where definitely everyone would actually came back on the medal table and see how far they've gone as a state that's in the collective effort to put the state that's up at the rankings. But then that is how much I can take on the show this afternoon.
Toby, Delta State is the state to beat, right?
Yeah, hello. Well, for me personally, I also share Sammy's sentiment for the games. A whole lot set to go down between now and the closing ceremony. And yes, also enjoy it. And yes, we'll keep soaking the experience right here in Ogun State.
I mean, what I said that you didn't get was that Delta State is the state to beat.
Well, yes, Delta State is the state to build, to beat, of course, massive investment in sport. But of course, you've seen the likes of their feathers, but it's more or less looking like a Delta State who might run away with this between now and the last games, the last set of games, as we look forward to the closing ceremony.
Thank you so much, Timileyin. I like to call him Samis. And of course, to Toby. Toby, it's a pleasure having you join us on the show this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Samis, you take care of yourself, guys. All right, so there you have it. The guy is all the way from the Gateway States telling us all that happened and, of course, the experience so far in the last few days. So I've got a man here from Delta State, and he's super excited that his state is the one pushing all the other states. All right, so we'll wait to see what happens. Let's get down to some other headlines in the last